Welcome to episode 197 of Timm Talk, the podcast about the DC animated universe, co-created by Bruce Timm. I'm Chris Lord, and at the moment, we are but two humble, bumbling, dare I say, a little childish idiots with a podcast. But, I have discovered a magic word that will transform us from mere mortals into godlike beings who possess the wisdom of Solomon, the strength of Hercules, the stamina of Atlas, the power of Zeus, the courage of Achilles, and finally the speed of Mercury. So when I say the magic word, get ready for a full-on she's all that style transformation. 3, 2, 1, Shazam! Maybe it needs to warm up a little bit. Shazam! Shazam! Shit. Okay, well, it looks like I get some bad intel, so until then, we'll just have to settle for being vaxxed, waxed, and ready to cast as we dive into this week's episodes, including one that features, you guessed it, the magical catchphrase shouting hero, Captain Marvel, aka Shazam.
And I'm Cameron Dexter. That was good. I was mouthing along the words.
You were. I will admit I had to look them up.
That's fair. That's fine.
I know you would have them off the top of your head.
Yes.
So, and I figured why not deny you an opportunity to once again utilize your encyclopedic knowledge of all things Greek history.
Mm-hmm. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
How are you, Chris?
I am
Happy
jet-lagged.
197.
I am very jet-lagged and a little bit tired this morning. Cameron,
me too.
How are you doing?
I'm just dandy. I lost 6 pounds on sweat yesterday.
I gained 10 pounds from pina coladas in Hawaii this last week.
Congratulations. The world is a funny place like that, isn't it?
It really is. Yeah, why don't you tell the audience real quickly what you did yesterday that you're so exhausted?
Oh, yes. Yesterday was my 5-year anniversary of my boxing gym.
Well done. Congratulations.
Thank you. It has been my pillar of sanity for 5 years. Outside of this podcast.
Mm-hmm. Well, this hasn't contributed to your sanity in any meaningful way. If anything, it's the opposite.
Right, just threats on my life, bombs implanted in my head.
Yep.
You know.
It's still there, by the way.
Yeah, future Chris is coming in just to ruin things. No, to celebrate my 5-year, I took every single class offered in a day. So I worked out for 5 hours straight against every one of my friends' best judgments. And I stupidly ignored all of them. And now my body is numb.
But what is more you than that?
Exactly. I had to, because I had people commenting like, "Oh wow, Cam, that's incredible. Like that's so inspiring." I'm like, I'm not a role model. I'm just dumb. One time I tried to work out, do a full boxing workout in a wool sweater for a bit over Christmas. And I'm like, I'm stupid. Don't follow me. I'm not an example.
Well, who am I to judge you for committing to asinine bits?
Exactly.
But then you've also decided to go to Disneyland today.
Yes, I'm going to Disney after this too. So this will be the first time I try and seek out where you can get a wheelchair.
So for both a little bit more gravelly than normal today, that is why Cameron from his intense workout and me from a 5-hour flight yesterday, and it being 6 a.m. my time.
Great.
Currently. So, hey, we roll with it. But yes, we are back. We are talking this week about Clash and Hunter's Moon.
Yes.
So as we mentioned at the top of the show, we're going to be talking a little bit about Captain Marvel this week, which is going to be fun.
I'm excited.
I'm excited as well, because this is when he's still Captain Marvel and not an unnamed superhero who can't call himself Shazam because he'll transform out of his heroic state.
Right.
So... but shall we just get straight into it here?
Let's jump on into it, man.
All right, so in Clash, after recently recruited leaguer Captain Marvel accidentally endorses Lex Luthor for president, Superman gives Marvel a stern warning and shows that he is anything but objective when it comes to Lex. So when Lex invites Superman to the opening of his new sustainable low-income housing city, Lexor City, Superman suspects that Lex's new kryptonite-powered fusion reactor is actually a deadly bomb and starts to tear apart the city with only the naive but godlike Captain Marvel standing in his way. It's a good episode.
It's incredible.
It's a big episode in the Cadmus arc as well, because this is the one where we finally get confirmation that Lex is in fact is bankrolling / contributing to the Cadmus. plot. It's been suspected up to this point, but here we get full on mustache twirling Lex at the very end. And this is great. I mean, I think their portrayal of Captain Marvel, brilliantly voiced by Jerry O'Connell, fantastic choice on their part. He is such an interesting counterpoint to Superman, who normally is, much more like the lighthearted, fun-loving one. And this one, he's just kind of a bitter old dickhole all the way through, isn't he?
Yeah.
But I mean, this episode also has a really fantastic start to the whole thing, which is like, I feel like we're starting to see a lot more of this now, where the episodes just will kind of jump in media res into a fight between the League and a bunch of villains, which is kind of fun.
This is a long time question for me, and I'm hoping at least one listener, so I'm not the only dumb one. When you say in media res,
what does that mean?
What does that mean?
I have no idea. All I know is it means you jump into the middle of the action.
Got it. Okay.
Yes, I know. Let me put it this way: I know what it means, but not what it comes from.
Got it. Okay.
But here it means that we jump into a fight where Parasite has been taking on members of the League. So he's already incapacitated Elongated Man, and now he's working his way towards taking out Metamorpho. And once that happens, it's just left to Batman to try and stop him. For some reason, I thought I remember him like throwing some sort of, I don't know, chemically enhanced batarang that disabled him. But no, he basically just stalling time until he can get someone to come in and help. And he actually even asked Jean for help, and Jean's like, "Wait a minute, you never ask for help. What is going on?"
I know
here?
John is also stalling and just kind of rubbing it in, because he could come down.
That's true. That's an interesting question. Like, how do you decide who to send in a fight up against Parasite?
Yeah,
I mean, obviously the idea is that they would send in Superman, who's fought with him before, so I guess it knows kind of the tricks of the trade. But like, you would have to be kind of conscious who you send, because even as it is, sending Metamorpho kind of makes sense, but also you run the risk of Parasite absorbing Metamorpho's powers, which he does. And Metamorpho is incredibly powerful because he can be, I don't know, whatever fucking element he wants to be. I mean, it's the last thing you probably want is for Jean to be touched by Parasite, because then Parasite's going to have all of Jean's insane abilities.
Right.
But then also you could just take him out with a book of matches. So
that is true. They also absorb the weaknesses.
Maybe.
So, question on that.
Yeah.
If Parasite had touched Captain Marvel, what would happen if he said Shazam?
Oh.
Would he turn into Kid Parasite? Or would he just lose the powers, I guess?
That is a really good...
I feel like he would just lose the powers.
That is a really good... Oh, see, that actually is interesting, because would Parasite absorb powers that are granted to someone rather than inherent in them, right? So it's like Superman's powers are inherent in his being. I don't know where Elongated Man got his powers, but it's not like he gains them through some device or magic or something like that. He just has them all the time. So he has Metamorpho. But yeah, like, for example, if he were to touch Wonder Woman, I suppose he would get some of her inherent Themysciran strength, but he wouldn't necessarily get like the power of her bracelets. Although I feel like didn't Amazo end up copying the bracelets?
Amazo
so
got
it gets
him.
It's a little bit confusing
But
there.
Amazo is different because he's like self growing.
That's true.
Yeah, Parasite's absorbing.
Yeah, that's true, because like Amazo also takes on the mace. Just yeah, so I guess that's a good question. Yeah, like I don't think he would, because the power of Shazam is granted to a being. So yeah, would he just turn into a kid?
That would suck.
Yeah, it would really suck.
Well, yeah, because I'm thinking just kind of all magic now. Like if he touches Zatanna, I don't think he would get her spells. I think he might get her like inherent magic abilities.
Yeah,
but he wouldn't know how to use them because everything around her magic is word based, is spell based.
yeah, he would absorb her talents.
Yeah,
but not necessarily her knowledge.
yeah.
But I guess, but doesn't he also absorb the memories? when he touches someone.
Oh, that is true.
Yeah, so like he would know all of the spells to cast, just in the same way that I think he briefly knew that Superman and Clark Kent were one and the same, right?
Right.
Wasn't that a thing?
That sounds right.
Yeah, so like
yeah, because then he got like buried in a volcano or something.
I don't know, who can remember? It's been years since we
No,
covered.
I think that was
That was Metallo who got buried in a volcano.
That's right.
And then lost his memory for a little bit. But yeah, like if he had touched Batman, he would get Batman's fighting techniques, but also his like strategy and his knowledge on how to use all that sort of stuff. But
stock market tips.
Exactly, right. Insider trading. But I think you're right. I think one being that he would not gain that much from would be Shazam, because I don't think well, I guess if he touched him, he might know to say the words Shazam, in which case he might actually transform into Shazam. Now I'm confused.
I'm also, yeah.
I don't know. If anyone out there knows of a specific time when Parasite touched Captain Marvel / Shazam, what the effects were, please let us know, because we sure as shit don't.
Or Etrigan, I feel like would be similar.
Oh yeah,
Cursed magic.
Yeah, would he have to say the phrase, and then would he become his own version of Etrigan? Oh, this is confusing now.
This is fun.
I don't know what's happening anymore. But yeah, so there's that fun little fight, and then before Superman can show up, because he's off saving a plane, a la the, not the opening, but a la it's the middle episode of Last Son of Krypton, the premiere.
Oh,
Because he did, remember? He saved the plane.
Last Son of Krypton.
The pilot of Superman the Animated Series.
That's right. Okay.
He was catching the plane.
Yeah. Well, I feel like that's like the trope, because Supergirl does it in the Donners. Doesn't he do it in one of the Donner episode cuts?
I don't think, because Supergirl only appears in Supergirl.
Yes,
which is a spin-off of the Donner Superman films, and I don't remember.
I mean, the TV series. I think she saved the plane at some point.
I think she might do that in the pilot. Like that is, I feel like that might have been one of Superman's introductions. I don't know where it first started.
Because he doesn't Returns.
He doesn't Returns. I know it's all an homage to like his original first introduction, or one of his first introductions, where he saves a plane. But yeah, he does it in Returns. He does it in Last Son of Krypton. He does it here. I think you're right. I think Supergirl does it in the pilot for Supergirl.
Who is making these planes that just constantly have engines bursting?
Well,
like someone needs to look. Wayne Tech needs to look into this.
Yeah, I mean, that idea is kind of referenced to some degree in some Superman comics. I think of Superman Red Sun specifically, where Superman makes a comment about how like people don't even bother wearing seatbelts anymore because they know that he'll be there to save them. I suspect that maybe in this universe, just like the factor of safety on stuff and like the like the testing and the quality control is like, if anything goes wrong, we got Superman.
Yeah. There's 3 speedsters.
Yeah,
someone will
Superman,
catch us.
we got the whole league. It's fine. Someone will take care of us. So I think this is going on. But it's kind of fun too, because we get a little bit of the Superman theme there, the animated series theme when he's saving the plane, and we also get a little bit of the Batman theme when he's hurling batarangs at Parasite. It's just a fun little nod, a little throwback there to the early days of the DCAU.
So long ago.
It really was a long time ago. But before Superman can get there, Captain Marvel swoops in and like saves the day, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, well done, Captain Marvel. You're awesome. We love you." And then a bunch of reporters, including Lois, come up and ask him like, "Oh, what is so inspiring about being in the League?" And he says, "Well, not only are we heroes, but we help people. Look what happened with Lex Luthor. He's a supervillain, and now he's running for president, and that's fine and dandy."
Yeah, he never outright endorses Lex. It's all just a twist on words.
Right. So, but I mean, are we surprised?
All these newspapers and their secret agendas.
Exactly. They're liberal agendas.
Yeah. How dare they?
Mm-hmm.
Except he's running independent.
As we've established.
He
must be running,
last week.
He must be running independent. So it's not really an endorsement, but that's how it's run. Now, so this isn't all part of Lex's plan. Like, at the end of the day, Lex's plan is he's built this Lexor City, which is this like this big, new, completely modern, sustainable city that's basically designed specifically to house like low-income families, the unhoused, like a home for children who don't have one, basically. It's like genuinely good works. And it is powered by a new Krypton-powered fusion reactor. So like it's powered by the fusion of kryptonite molecules, which Lex says is why he didn't bother telling Superman what it was and why it's lead-lined. Now, the reality is this is all a massive setup to just get Superman there, to have him. Lex kind of goes off the side and whispers to Mercy. It's like, okay, like, is everything set? Okay, make sure my escape route is all there, just to give Superman the tip. And then he is going to trick Superman into basically like tearing the city apart. What he didn't plan on happening was that Captain Marvel was going to be there and create an actual fight between Leaguers and not just a bunch of shots Superman tearing up the city. But the tension between Superman and Marvel is built up all the way through. Like, from the moment Superman shows up and Marvel has like jumped in to save the day, you can tell Superman is already jealous, basically, of this guy. I mean, at one point he even has a conversation with Batman. It's like I don't like the guy because he doesn't know he's a kid, presumably at this point.
Right.
It's like, I don't like the guy. I'm like, what does everyone like him so much? And Batman's like, people just do. He's sunny, like, you know, he's the new Boy Scout.
Yeah, I mean, there's a way you can look at this where Superman does see himself in Captain Marvel, but in a sense, it's his early days.
Yeah,
where he was also that naive and
right.
thought everything was this very easy, clear black and white.
Yeah. Yeah, like Superman was pretty much always skeptical of Lex, but he's now been going up against Lex for years now at this point. I forget the actual timeline is. I'm sure Maddie and James will jump in and start yelling at us here, but I would guess 5+ years, something like that, of them going toe to toe, and so he knows better than to trust Lex at anything at this point. You're right, Captain Marvel is naive, and we know that as an audience because he's in fact like a 10-year-old kid who can call down these godlike powers. But for everybody else, he's just a really sunny, plucky, happy individual.
Yeah.
You know, he goes around the watchtower just like super excited to see everybody and saying hi to everybody and like just fangirling over everyone around him.
I love, because that's how we would react.
No, Cameron,
100%.
that's how
Sorry,
you,
that's how I would react.
That's how you would
1000%
react.
how I would react.
Okay.
I'd have a quick draw against Vigilante. I'd have an imaginary sword fight with Shining Knight.
Yeah.
I'd play Rock'em Sock'em Robots with Elongated Man.
I was gonna say, I think at this point we can establish that I hold my professional cool around people that I would normally go nuts over.
I could. I've just never given the opportunity.
Yeah, I've had multiple opportunities and I've kept it cool. But yeah, like that's exactly right. Like he okay, wait, I've never asked you this question. Do you really identify with Captain Marvel because he's basically you?
That's a good question. I don't think I'm good enough to be Billy Batson. Because he's just so pure.
What do you mean?
He's such a pure heart.
Is he?
I think so.
I mean, I guess the movie version, not quite so much.
Yeah.
Movie version's pretty cynical, but...
Yeah, because you can't have just an outstanding, perfect person.
Yeah.
The audience can't cheer for that.
Well, it's, you know, it's even tangentially connected to the Snyderverse, so it has to be the darker version where he's like an abandoned child that hates everyone all the time.
But that's a good question. I think so.
Yeah.
Partly.
Yeah, I mean, if you were a superhero, you would be Captain Marvel.
I'll take it.
Not only for just like the plucky optimism, but also because it involves the Greek gods.
And the half cape. Big fan of the half cape.
You know what? He looks great in that half cape.
Yeah. Big fan of the one shoulder.
Just toss over the shoulder. It looks so good. I mean, okay, I actually have not really read a lot of stuff that has Captain Marvel in it. I mean, I think probably the biggest thing that I've read with him in it is the novel Kingdom Come, the graphic novel Kingdom Come, which this episode in particular heavily references. And then he's also in some of the Injustice comics, if I recall, which are actually like pretty good. But I haven't read a lot of stuff of his, but he's a character that I've always just really liked. I think he is interesting. He's kind of unique in being this dream of what happens when a kid becomes a hero. People don't know that he's a kid. Plus, he's got a cool power set. He's got a cool look.
Yeah.
I love the Captain Marvel costume.
Me too.
I think it's just awesome.
The half cape, man.
It's all about that half cape. That sweet, sweet half cape. But like the bright red look, the big lightning bolts, like it's a cool design all the way through.
Yeah, and I think compared to Superman, I think Superman gets a lot of flack because he is, you know, he can do anything he wants.
Yeah.
You know, his powers have been slowly chipped away since the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But everyone was kind of annoyed because like he is the perfect man.
Yeah.
Whereas Shazam, with Captain Marvel, you're coming in with the like, you can understand a kid to have this plucky optimism, but no one would expect an adult to be this this optimistic about anything.
He's a little bit weird. Like even the rest of the league, they're all like, Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like his charm is undeniable, but it's also weird. It's interesting that Batman buys into it.
Yeah, because this whole episode is pinned on. I don't want to call it Superman's ego because it's
No,
not
but,
exactly that,
I
but
mean,
it's not far from it.
I'd say it's his ego, right? I mean, he's jealous. You know, it's like Batman even says, like, "Don't you think you're a little hard on the Boy Scout?" And Superman's response is, "I thought I was the Boy Scout."
I used to be the Boy Scout.
I'm the Boy Scout. But like, I mean, there is an element of that. I mean, Superman has always kind of been this paragon that everyone looks up to, and this image of sort of kind of unflinching heroism and optimism. You know, and I think there's something to be said for him probably already feeling like to some degree that idea is compromised by being a part of the League, and the full scope of Cadmus hasn't been entirely revealed to them yet. Even to us as an audience, we're getting closer and closer. But, you know, like just a couple episodes ago, Batman was calling out Superman and being like, "Oh, now we're gods passing judgment on like mortal beings," when they send Doomsday into the Phantom Zone. And, you know, it's like at this point now, Superman isn't just an independent hero saving Metropolis. Like, you know, he says we don't get involved in politics, but politics is inescapable when you're a part of this massive organization. You're one of the leaders of it. Like, with that sort of leadership comes extra responsibility. And I bet he as a character has been feeling that he's having a harder time maintaining that idealized image because the role he now has trying to lead, you know, dozens of other heroes around him. So I think that tension's already existing. Plus, Cadmus is actively projecting that idea out into the world. The League is all powerful, that they are irresponsible, that they're dangerous. And then here comes along this hero that isn't burdened with any of that sense of responsibility and perspective and gets to be like an even more idealized version of Superman. Totally makes sense that his ego and his jealousy would start to come into play here. Plus, he's probably just background pissed off every single day because Lex Luthor is running for president.
Yeah, it's an interesting comparison because the League is now a business.
Yeah, essentially.
And the way you described it is someone, because like, you know, I work in a creative field, you work in a creative field. There is a point where you will get promoted while still working in a creative field where you will not get to be creative anymore.
Yeah.
And that's basically what Superman is dealing with is he was the number one who now can't be that role anymore. He has to manage everyone. He's become a manager.
He has to really think through everything he does in a way that he didn't have to before because it affects other people.
Mm-hmm.
Now at this point, it affects the whole League. It affects Bruce Wayne's bank account.
Yes, that's the biggest one. I loved the moment at the end when Lexor City's broken. He's like, the League will pay for it. And he looks over his shoulder and Batman just goes, yeah, sure.
Fine.
But yeah, I love the dynamic between these two. Do you think Batman is twisting the dagger a little bit more because like it's the first time we see Superman kind of shaking in his shell?
I mean,
he's not helping, certainly.
I think it's not quite that, I would say. Like when he has that conversation, like, I think you're a little hard on the Boy Scout. I think that's not him like twisting the knife, twisting the batarang, so much as it's him knowing that he's pretty much the only person in the League who can have that kind of conversation with him, who can like kind of call him out like, hey, like you were a bit much. Which again, if Batman is telling you that you're being a bit much, stop and reconsider your choices. Like, I mean, actually, that is an interesting thing. I feel like we kind of touched upon it a little bit, but like Batman is having to really become the conscience of the League in this season because he's the only one who's really acknowledging that Cadmus is right.
Absolutely. And like watching this episode alongside watching Task Force X from a couple weeks ago, we're seeing the League like kind of not dissolve. That's not the right word. They're kind of falling apart a little bit.
Yeah.
Their morality. Yeah, their morality is being questioned at every possible angle. Where we see John kind of like, you know, he wants to mind wipe a guy, like erase 3 years of his life.
Yeah.
He's like, you know, GL's like, you can't do that. That's not what we do.
Yeah.
And now Superman's here. Because there's another aspect where it's all like the egos at peak inflation. or not inflate. I like is so scared is when he finds the battery, and Captain Marvel comes in like, hey, let's get Captain Atom to come in, just like look at it really quick.
Yeah.
It's like, we don't have time. You have instant transportation.
Yep.
Which we've talked about for 3 weeks now. The people just seem to forget all the time.
He's got to be the hero.
He's got to be the hero.
That's the thing. He's like, I have to do it. I have to be the hero. I have to save the day. Meh, 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 meh.
Yeah. He pulled a Batman.
He did. Well, yeah. And
I'm going to crash the Watchtower.
I'm just going to crash it. I think what this season really kind of plays into is the idea that, like, it's actually very hard to do the right thing. And part of doing the right thing is having to make hard choices. And sometimes those choices can rub against your own sense of morality. And when your whole image is built on being the good guy doing the right thing, any sort of crack in that, which is naturally going to occur, that can be exploited, is going to be exploited and thrown in your face to make it seem like you're the evil monsters who are making the world a worse place. I'm totally not referring to anything happening in the real world, particularly in our country, at all when I say those things. But there is something of that going on here, right? Of like, the League are the good guys who are actually trying to do the right thing. And, Cadmus will take any opportunity they can to make it seem like anything that's slightly morally compromised, or is slightly a hard choice between two unideal options, is a sign of them being just pure evil.
Right. They're giving them what's the railroad test? It has a name, doesn't it?
It probably does, but I don't know what it is. But
yeah, it's, you can either kill 2 or pull the lever and kill 4, or however it's set up. And Cadmus is being like, well, why are they on the railroad anyway? Like,
yeah, exactly.
How could the League let them get on the rail? Like, how could they let them get on the tracks?
Yeah.
It's like, that's not what happened.
You clearly designed this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's...
You want to murder Americans?
I mean,
I'd put the flag in the way, and it would stop the train.
No, that's what the test would be. You can either have the train run over 5 people, or you can have it run over the American flag. And then you choose to save the 5 people and say, how dare you run over the American flag?
Yeah.
Fucking hell. But that's what makes this season and these episodes in particular, like, so relevant now, as it does look at that idea of, like, what happens when the good guys have to make the bad calls. And, like, obviously that was also part of the political discourse back when these were made in the early 2000s. It's just much more apparent now. But I mean, there is something relevant there. And obviously this is still a cartoon and it's hyperbolic. So they have to also at the same time show that the League is making questionable decisions, like sending Doomsday off and having this massive space laser. And they have to show us that to some degree, Cadmus is kind of right, even if they're going about it the entirely wrong way. And it's like, I think this episode in particular really tips it into the space of, like, super villainy, right? Like, you can kind of get where they're coming from early on, right? You understand that their mission makes sense, and they definitely already made questionable choices at this point, like, cloning Supergirl and making Galatea, and, like, not, I mean, kind of like torturing her to some degree until she's, this fighting automaton, the same way they sort of did with Doomsday and them breaking into the Watchtower and, like, sacrificing one of their team members to try and steal something. But this is where it's like a full on, like, Machiavellian scheme, right? Where they're literally setting up Superman to have, like, a PR nightmare.
Right. Yeah, the 21st century problem.
Yeah.
Can we cancel Superman?
Yeah, I mean, yes, exactly. That's essentially what they're trying to do here.
Yeah.
And it's effective.
It's very effective.
It's really effective at the end of the day.
It'd be even easier nowadays.
Yeah, it'd be so easy. So fucking easy. But I mean, along the way, there are things that are, like, raising the stakes, right? So not only does Marvel accidentally endorse Lex, but then he goes and has a meeting with the founders at their table. And Superman has this fantastic speech where he says, we're the Justice League. We don't play favorites. We don't sell deodorant on television, to which Flash kind of, like, looks off to the side in embarrassment. We don't get involved in politics, and we certainly don't endorse supervillains for the presidency. Like, he is fucking fuming at all of this, understandably. But then the other thing that happens is that Emil Hamilton calls and says that someone broke into Star Labs and stole 4 pounds of weapons-grade kryptonite. And when Batman investigates, he sees that it was Luthor Tech that broke in, but as he points out, anyone could have gotten a hold of it, and it could have been deliberately used to try and incriminate Lex. This is not proof that he was actually involved.
Right. Lex would be smarter than to leave his own trace behind.
Exactly. But then, once Superman shows up at Luxor City and Lex says that, this thing is powered by kryptonite, it does sort of imply that the theft led to this. I mean, it's never explicitly stated, and obviously the theft was just faked.
Right. Yeah, because I forgot that they don't know Emil Hamilton is part of Cadmus yet.
Right, yeah. Because they don't know yet that he created Galatea.
Right.
We know that, but they don't. Yeah, so I think Batman only...
Question does, probably.
Question probably does, yeah. So I think at this point, I think Batman knows that Waller's involved. This basically confirms that Lex was involved too, because at the very end he says, we fell into their trap. They set you up. So he knows it's Waller. He knows it's Lex. He probably suspects it's Hardcastle.
Oh, I was gonna say they probably can assume Eiling.
Oh, Eiling, not Hardcastle. Thank you. Yes. But yeah, I don't think they know Hamilton yet as a traitor.
Right. Yeah, because he's so close to Superman.
Yeah, it has been for so long.
Yeah.
So I mean, they're in a real shit position. But ultimately, this just leads to this fight between Superman and Captain Marvel, and it's a pretty brutal fight.
They destroy a city.
They destroy a full city. I mean, at one point, Superman pulls a vault out of a bank and just starts smashing Marvel in the face with it. To the point where once Superman then breaks through the ground and gets down to the subterranean tunnels where the fusion device is contained, when Captain Marvel shows up down there, his face is now all covered in bruises. And it's pretty intense. And I mean, it just builds an intensity to the point where Marvel grabs Superman and holds on to him and shouts Shazam to hit him with the magic lightning because he knows that Superman is vulnerable to magic. And that moment in particular is pulled from Kingdom Come.
Right.
Now, I don't know if it had been used before that, but that was the version that I knew of.
Kingdom Come was 2003-ish?
Yeah, I think
2, 3, 4.
something around there, early 2000s.
This has been very recent.
Very recent, yeah. And you've read Kingdom Come, right?
I have.
That is, I think, one of the greatest superhero stories ever written.
Yes, you made me read it.
Did I make you read it?
Yes.
Aw, aren't you glad I did?
Yes.
I mean, but it is fucking brilliant. It's absolutely incredible. And like I said, that's one of the few things I've actually read that really contains Captain Marvel. But again, there have been a lot of, I think, famous clashes between those two. I only really know of Kingdom Come. But it's a pretty brutal fight. But Superman does get the best of Captain Marvel by spinning him around and then turning him back into a kid, which I guess he didn't know that would happen. He just assumed that the lightning would strike Shazam and it would hurt him.
It was gonna kill him.
He's gonna kill him, yeah. But I mean, I guess Superman is just so caught up in the moment he doesn't think about it. But there isn't even a moment where he goes, "You're a fucking child,"
right? Or even a moment where where's Batman on the intercom, just being like,
"That's a good point."
Clark, calm the fuck down.
Yeah, John's not on comms. Bruce isn't on there.
Because I would understand if someone tried and Superman just threw the comm out of his ear. That very trope. Moment.
Yeah.
But yeah, no one even tried to calm him. That's Batman's role.
Yeah.
He is there to bring down Clark's ego.
Yeah.
Even calling him Clark at the very end.
Yeah.
And that's why he's not number one in the coding system.
That's why he's not. Yeah, that's why he's down at number 6. I think we established it. But yeah, I mean, after Superman laser blasts this reactor until it melts and is deactivated, and then the atom shows up and it's yep, looks like it's exactly what Lex said it was. And then we go up to the watchtower and Captain Marvel comes in. He says, I called this meeting because, I want to be a part of this because you guys are heroes. You don't act like heroes anymore, and I'm withdrawing from the League. And you can tell it all affects them. But then that's when Batman says, they set you up. It's what, they? And then it's, the final beat is Lex Luthor and Amanda Waller drinking champagne and being it's all going according to plan. Wahaha.
Yes.
Wahaha.
Great mustache twirling.
Exactly.
Very Boris and Natasha.
Yes. But it's so effective.
Yeah.
All the way through, this is super, super effective. And just advancing the Cadmus story, showing the heroes in a way we've never seen them before. it's really effective at actually getting two heroes to fight and you believing that they would in that moment and not it feeling contrived in any sort of way. It's an episode where the villains win.
Yeah.
At the end of the day.
Which we will get a couple more of.
Yeah. Like, things are really, really ramping up with Cadmus. I mean, it makes sense. You know, I mean, this is now, what, episode 7, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So, like, we only have a handful left in the Cadmus arc, so it's really ramping up. But I think this is fantastic. I think this is probably one of the best episodes of the season.
I'd agree. I think this and Task Force X, I think, are my top 2 right now.
Yeah. Just because they're so different.
They're so different.
But, you know, it's interesting because they are kind of one-off episodes in some ways, right? Like, I think this is the only appearance of Captain Marvel.
Yeah, I believe it is. Because after this, they have the same thing with Batman. Like, they can't use his gallery.
Yeah, I forget. I meant to look this up, but I ran out of time. This is kind of a self-contained thing. Captain Marvel just shows up for this one episode. It's just kind of about this fight, and that's it. In some way, Task Force S, like most of the characters disappear after that. It's just kind of this one-off random thing. But because it's also building towards a larger narrative, it doesn't feel like a throwaway thing. It's like really crucial to storytelling while being unlike any other story we've seen them do so far.
Yeah, and it's incredible.
Yeah. But I have to ask you, Cameron, did you look up the history of Captain Marvel?
I did not, unfortunately. Well, because I feel like we kind of know it. I like doing it for the obscure characters. We didn't really have we had Elongated Man, we had Metamorpho, but I like doing it for the background boys that don't get the spotlight.
How dare you, Cameron? You have failed me for the last time. Once I remember where I put that goddamn remote, I'm gonna blow off your head.
You left it in Hawaii.
Damn it! And I'll be honest, I also spilled a pina colada on it, so it probably doesn't work anymore.
That's that shock that I felt.
I was literally like, hope this didn't set it off. I'll find out.
So we've made jokes before about society paralleling Lex Luthor very strongly with Trump and Bezos.
Yeah.
But in this episode specifically, I think I've brought it up on the podcast a few weeks ago, there is a billionaire right now trying to build his own futuristic city called Telosa. Have you not heard about this?
Oh, this is fucking Musk's thing.
Not Musk.
Who is this? Who's doing this now?
It's some like Walmart guy. He's not one of the Waltons, but he was a high up ranking person in the Walmart company. But he's trying to build like the next city, the next big American city somewhere in the desert.
Jesus Christ.
Called Telosa, and I understand the parallel to Musk because it sounds like Tesla.
Yeah, that's why I thought it was Musk.
But yeah, it's supposed to be like exactly kind of as Lex pitched Lexor City. Like it's the new place for people to get a second chance. I think is the wording they use on the website for Telosa, which is so funny. We're so unoriginal. We're following the storylines of supervillains now.
Reality is stranger than fiction.
It is.
So it's basically all just like an arms race to see who's actually become the world's first genuine supervillain.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm trying to think who would I put money on to become the world's first real Bond villain. Probably Musk. I think he's actually genuinely crazy.
I think that's the thing. Is Musk would I think Musk would do it for a bit and then he would just take it too far.
Yeah, I think Musk is actually more unhinged than Bezos, which is saying something. But what a world we live in.
I know.
I don't know. Any other thoughts on Clash here?
I think we covered all of it.
I'm trying to think of any of the like fun little pieces of casting here. Obviously, we mentioned up top that Jerry O'Connell voices Captain Marvel, who I think they brought him back around again to voice the Superman. There was the DC short Superman / Shazam Return of the Black Adam. It was the return of both George Newbern and Jerry O'Connell reprising their roles. There's some like fun little moments here. I mentioned the themes. Billy Batson attends C.C. Binder School, which is named after writer C.C. Beck and his collaborator Otto Binder, who worked at DC Comics and were very influential in working on Shazam, maybe creating him. I forget which one. The Classroom.
That's right.
We both
that
made
beautiful George Bush portrait.
Yeah, we both made note of this, that the classroom that we made reference to in Kid Stuff, when the teacher disappears and all the kids are left, the classroom with the massive George Bush portrait in the background is used once again here.
I wonder if we go back and rewatch that, would we see Billy? Do you think it's the same class, like the exact same classroom? Would we see Billy sitting in the front row?
I don't know. I don't remember a piece of trivia about that mentioned his appearance there, but I wouldn't be surprised if maybe it was.
That'd be pretty
It'd be
cool.
pretty cool if it's like a little flash forward sort of thing. And then Lex appears on a show called The O'Bannon Agenda, which is obviously a riff on the O'Reilly Factor.
Yeah.
I know.
2005, man.
Like that. It's only gotten worse. And one other fun little thing is obviously we get the return of Dana Delaney as Lois Lane, which is always fantastic. And Mercy Graves is back too. Last we saw her, she was running LexCorp and was like not putting up with Lex's bullshit. But clearly she's back to just like being his right hand again. But
not robotic.
Not robotic.
Right.
Actually,
I remember. This is not the robotic
not
Mercy.
the robotic Mercy. This is the normal one. And then another fun little thing, and I'm probably going to mispronounce this actor's name, but voice actor Shane Habucha voices Billy Batson, the younger version, also voiced the young Superman in Kid Stuff.
Oh,
It's kind of a fun, whether it was intentional or not.
That's a great parallel.
It's a fun little parallel, of being like they're, they do kind of come from similar backgrounds there to some degree. So, but no, I love this episode. I think it's fantastic. And as much as I would love to see more Captain Marvel in the DCAU, they certainly didn't waste him. He kind of gets like pretty much the best like one and done episode of almost anybody.
Yeah.
So.
And his mini arc in Young Justice is also incredible.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, he is really, really good in Young Justice. Yeah. And and to be fair, the Shazam movie is actually pretty solid.
Of the DC movies, yes.
It's a low bar.
It's a very low bar.
A very low bar, but his is pretty good.
There's some pretty good jokes in there.
There's some good jokes in there. Zachary Levi's great, as
is.
is the best friend, and the whole family is all pretty fun. I mean, I love Mark Strong, but his Dr. Sivana was not the most compelling villain, and the Seven Deadly Sins are just the most generic looking, pointless lumps ever.
I honestly forgot that was a thing.
It was absolutely a thing. But hey, you know what? High hopes for the next one.
Yeah, the scene where they're fighting in the sky and Mark Strong starts monologuing, and Zach Levi's like, I can't hear you.
I can't hear.
That will always make me chuckle. That is such a good riff on superhero movies.
That is a good riff. And yeah, Zachary Levi is so charming in that. And again, they did a really good job with his costume design. It's a good looking costume.
Yeah, It's a good bubble butt.
It's a good bubble butt. All right, shall we move on to our next episode, Hunter's Moon?
Let's do it.
Hunter's Moon. All right. So things are still a little awkward between Vixen and Jon Stewart since Shayera's return to the League. So when Shayera is sent into a deep space mission to investigate a ship under distress from unrefined nth metal contamination, Vixen joins her and a Thanagarian prejudice vigilante on the mission. They quickly discover that it's a trap set by former Thanagarian Lieutenant Perrin Duel to get revenge on Shayera for betraying her people and causing the Thanagarians to lose the war with the Gordanians. How'd you feel about this episode, Cameron?
It wasn't for me. I understand it's more of like a character piece than a story piece, but I don't want to jump the gun too early in my game, but I'm going to pitch it now. I think Martian Manhunter did a horrible job picking this team, especially for what the mission was before they knew it was the Thanagarians.
Yeah.
This was a search and rescue mission.
Yes.
Why the fuck is Vigilante there? Is he going to cut some rope that they're tied up with?
Yeah, it might have been best to send someone maybe with some super strength. Possibly send Captain Atom if it is in fact radioactive. He could absorb whatever's going on.
Yeah, we know it's something with nth metal, so like understand you gotta send Shayera.
Yeah, honestly, like this would have been a very good mission to send GL because it's a rescue mission and he can kind of come up with anything on the spot. And I understand why John says no. Like I don't want any sort of issues of chain in command considering you're both Leaguers. Which let's take a slight tangent there. It's very interesting. So Shayera has been welcomed back into the League, and has been immediately elevated up to her original status as a founder and command lead, like which is both like surprising and reasonable at the same time. Like it would be kind of weird if she was the only founding member who did not have that level of status, but at the same time she did betray the entire planet and most people on the planet hate her. And even in the last episode, Lex uses Shayera as an example of being like, here's someone who can be redeemed. The League did it themselves. Like, most people think that Shayera's a threat, and letting her back onto the team was a bad idea. I think it's a great idea, though. But hey, let me remind you, they did that thing. Yeah, it's interesting that she's back at the founders table, and John even says, like, you have command level. Like, I don't want any sort of question of authority happening here.
Right. And I was thinking back, I guess all the other missions that had two founders I guess it was just the last one with Hawkgirl and Wonder Woman. But that was...
It's kind of a personal thing.
Yeah. And they actively went around getting John's kind of approval for the mission.
Yeah, he didn't send them on that mission. They just kind of went of their own accord.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I guess it's a good point. I suppose up to now, except for any of like the Omega level threats, like the Darkheart and stuff like that, or Amazo.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's only been one founding member on the team. Makes sense.
Yeah.
Even on the ground, when they were fighting Parasite, it was Batman and other, I don't want to say sub-leaguers, but non-command level leaguers down there.
Yes, but still, Vigilante
maybe
is one of the worst options you could have picked.
Maybe not the best.
How do his guns work in space?
They're
guns
lasers.
Work in space. They're lasers. I keep forgetting they're lasers.
Because he even opens up the 6-shooter chamber, and we see that it's like 6 like red sections there.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of weird. Like it's a laser revolver, which you're like, what?
Sure.
Why? Like why does the I mean, other than it, I mean, I guess the answer is it's all just for show. Like, other than like literally for show, why would you actually have it be like a revolver chamber that could open like a traditional pistol? Because it's just laser blasts.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you're maybe like changing out cartridges on them at some point. I don't know.
It's his fidget thing. It's what keeps him calm, keeps him zen.
Yeah.
Everyone has a little fidget toy.
I mean, look, I will give him credit. He really, really leans into his own theming on this. Even like with the gold darn it.
Yes.
The aw shucksness of it all. And we must acknowledge, right at the top, brilliant casting choice.
Who?
Cameron.
Who?
Cameron.
Who?
Who else would you cast as a Western-style spacefaring hero than TV's own Nathan Fillion?
Oh, I wasn't going that direction, but I do love that.
What direction were you going?
What's his face in The Big Lebowski and also in Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga, Elliot.
Sam Elliott?
Sam Elliott.
Okay.
I couldn't get past T.S. Eliot.
Okay, I mean...
I know, it's very wrong, very far. I just watched Midnight in Paris, okay?
Okay, fair. Did he write The Once and Future King? Was that T.S. Eliot?
I don't know.
No, that was... I don't know, doesn't matter.
Hemingway?
It's
not
something
Hemingway.
white? I don't know. I'll have to look it up. Okay, you're not wrong, but like... Here's the thing. Vigilante does definitely into like that like very Western style hero,
But not that Western.
but also like he doesn't have the gravelly voice of a man who smoked a packet of Marlboros a day for several decades.
per meal.
Per meal.
Yeah, not per day, per meal.
Have you ever seen Thank You for Smoking?
I have. It's incredible.
It's a great film. It's a really great film. But I mean, perfectly cast Sam Elliott as like a former Marlboro style spokesperson who I don't remember if he actually did that or not. But I mean, he's the ideal choice for it.
He must have.
We watched Roadhouse together, right?
Yes.
Okay.
The throat,
Yeah. What?
the throat pull. Right, that's Roadhouse.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a Patrick Swayze where he's
Yeah.
the cooler when he like works at a bar to like cool things down and like it's like more than a bouncer. I don't know if it's an actual real thing or not, but yeah, Sam Elliott's in that, and the man has looked the same, which is to say, amazing.
Yeah.
For decades.
Yeah. You'd think that mustache would like stretch his skin out a little bit.
Oh,
It hasn't.
No. It's the source of his power.
Yeah.
In fact. Okay, so yes, you're right. That is like an iconic Western style gravelly voice, but not this one. No,
Yes. But yeah, Nathan Fillion is a great pick.
Which
I
is
apologize
also
for not having that offhand.
right, which is also fun because he's on a mission with Vixen, played by Gina Torres. So it's like a little mini Firefly reunion as they're traveling through space, intentional or
sweet.
not. it's pretty fun. But you're right, like, not only is Vigilante probably not the best person to go on a search and rescue mission, but also probably not the best person to put under command of Shayera, considering that he is, like, very, very prejudiced against Thanagarians because he had to fight them when they invaded. Now, this is the first time we've kind of acknowledged that the other heroes existed at the time of the Thanagarian invasion, and though they weren't part of the overall story, they were dealing with it on the ground. Because he even talks about how, like, he fought them, was captured, and was, like, tortured a little bit by them, and Vixen says, yeah, I fought them too, we all did. But yeah, he's kind of a prick.
Yeah.
Through pretty much all of this.
I do think that is, like I said, if we're focusing on the character piece and not the story piece, it does make sense for him to be there, because you need to see that it's not just Vixen that doesn't like Shayera because of GL.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't like her because the Thanagarians suck.
Yeah, for good reason. And I do agree with you. I think this episode had a lot of work to do, and I think that they kind of started with the initial points of, okay, can we kind of wrap up some of the remaining threads post Star-Crossed? One, just in terms of, like, what happened to Hro-Talik. What happened to Thanagarians? How was the rest of the League dealing with Shayera being back? And obviously the ongoing narrative about this love triangle between Vixen, Shayera, and John. Like, I think that's their starting point. Like, okay, let's kind of construct a story around this. And it doesn't totally work. But I will say, like, the character stuff is pretty solid. Like, there's not even a lot of plot beats necessarily. It's just kind of a lot of conversations around them all trusting each other. Like, the whole episode is basically around, like, trust. Can we trust Shayera? Did she betray us? Is Vixen going to betray her, which she seemingly does at one point? Like, it...
And then Vigilante's just injured on the ground. It's like, hey, we're going to leave you for a couple days.
Yeah, just...
Don't die.
Just chill here. You'll be fine. But it does have an interesting opening, because it starts with Vixen basically trying to get John's attention, who's just, like, very distracted and not really paying attention to her. And she's like, all right, like, we're going tonight. It's a date night. Let's get Chinese. We're going to Beijing. We're not just going to a little place next to your apartment. He's like, well, I'm not off till, like, 0600. She's like, that's fine. I love breakfast in China. We're going to make it happen. She tries to, like, kiss him. He's like, Mari, please, this is not the right place. And it's like, it's all very awkward. It's basically Jon Stewart just continuing to be a real shit boyfriend.
Yeah, and then you see Green Arrow and not Hawk Girl and Black Canary on the other side, just fully making out on the table.
Exactly. Like, we're good. We don't have your drama.
Yeah, GL, this isn't the place.
Yeah.
It's like, what? It's what? It's not?
Okay.
Oh, sorry. We'll go to the showers.
I think we got to point out, if Huntress and the Question have a healthier relationship than you do, you got issues.
Yes.
Because they definitely don't have things working out very well for them. I mean, look, Jon Stewart, total beefcake. Very, very hot. Totally into it. Even I'm like, I'd pass. You're a shit boyfriend.
Mm-hmm.
Real shit boyfriend.
Well, because we brought up a few weeks ago when it was the time travel episode about paradoxical ethics.
Oh, right. Oh, okay.
Because
you
she
know
brings
what?
up, like, it's been a few weeks since, like, you've even, like, talked to me.
You know what? You raise a very good point. I had forgotten about that. But at this moment, John remembers that in a future, at least, he and Shayera have a kid.
Yeah. And that would have a huge impact on your relationship.
Okay, fine. He's not being a shit boyfriend. Well, he is being a shit boyfriend because he's being emotionally unavailable because he's deeply, deeply confused.
Right. He's not bringing up the conversation. But that's a hard conversation to bring up.
I mean...
no one remembers this except for me and Batman, my bro, the guy who'll stand up for me no matter what, where we got sucked into the future and no one else remembers, and we saw a version where everyone was dead, and Shayera and I had a kid.
Okay, this actually raised an interesting question. Do you think that John and Bruce briefed anyone else in the League on that mission after it happened? Because I imagine that there must be some sort of, like, mission debrief system set up in place that can keep records on all these things and keep track of who does what and what happens. Maybe even just purely for legal purposes, if we're being honest. But do you think after that one, where everything basically just kind of resets to zero with the exception of their knowledge of the mission itself, do you think they actually briefed the other founders on what happened?
I think they briefly bring it up to Manhunter, to John, and they see like, hey, do you remember any of this? He says no. He's like, okay, and they don't ever bring it up again.
You think they kept it to themselves?
Mm-hmm.
I think they probably did too.
Because it's so hard to explain.
And you raise a very good point, because you think about like, okay, in this universe, crazy shit happens all of the time. So you feel like he could go to Mari and be like, hey, let's sit down and have a conversation. And even though crazy shit happens all the time, that is so absurd. And because no one else is there to prove it other than Batman, and you're like, one, will he back you up? And two, like, he's not going to elaborate. If John's just like, hey, Batman, remember this happening? Batman be like, yeah. And then walk away. So it's like, he's not going to help you out a lot in this context. So I can totally see, even if you try to explain it to her, she'd be like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, if you want to break up, just break up with me. Don't make up some crazy story about a potential future kid with your ex.
Yes. Yeah, because okay, so thinking more on that, going deeper than we need to.
Of course.
Martian Manhunter can read minds.
Yes.
And can extract memories.
True.
To an extent. So he could kind of show it. But would it... Because they experienced it, so he would have it. But how... What is the difference between extracting a memory from like a real memory or extracting a memory from like a dream?
I don't know. That's a good question.
It's like, oh, so you're dreaming about having a kid with Shayera.
Yeah. I guess he really couldn't explain this all to her. And that would be like a really emotionally challenging thing of like, what do I do with this?
Yeah.
How do I make this happen? So, okay, you know what? Fine. I was not thinking through all the things that are going on in John's head right now. Doesn't stop him from being a little bit shitty.
Yeah. And his support system is Batman.
Or the Flash. Or the Flash. Which is even worse. It's not like he can go to Superman for relationship advice, considering that Superman is like, as we see later on in Justice League, like kind of dating Lois, but Lois doesn't know that he's Clark.
Right.
So he's not really the best person to go to for advice, is he?
No.
So, I mean, could he... I guess he could go to Wonder Woman for advice on this. She's wise.
Yeah, she's only hung up on a guy from the 1940s.
Less so in this version.
That's true.
To be fair. But yeah, I guess he does...
She does go to the retirement home at the end of that episode.
She's a sweetheart. She wants to go visit him. So yeah, I guess he doesn't really have the best like group of people to go look to for advice. Definitely not going to go ask Elongated Man.
It's Green Arrow and Black Canary.
Honestly, not the worst.
Yeah. I mean, I love the version of Black Canary where she's like the therapist in Young Justice.
Yeah, that version is fantastic. So, and you know, outside of the Cat and the Canary, once that episode's passed, like Green Arrow and Black Canary probably do have the healthiest relationship in the entire league.
Yeah. So. Yeah, because there's no like married heroes.
Not that we know of. No. And so it's
not in this iteration.
Yeah, it's like they're a couple. Green Lantern and Vixen are a couple, but there's like the X thing with Shayera. Bruce and Diana are this weird like isn't going to happen, is it not sort of thing.
The Ross and Rachel,
the Sam and Diane. So so he doesn't really have a lot of good people to go to for advice, does he? But even then, like when Vixen volunteers to go on the mission and Jean agrees that GL's like, hey, like why would you send my girlfriend and my ex on the same mission? And Jean's point is, I don't take your love life into consideration when making command decisions. It's just such a necessary and savage burn on Green Lantern. But like, yeah, I mean, the rest of the episode, I feel like there's not that much to get into in terms of the meat of it. Like they get out there, as we established, like Vigilante is prejudiced against Shayera. There's this trust issue between Shayera and Vixen around John. Like they both recognize that they have feelings for him still. We do learn the fate of Hro Talek, who I guess after they left Earth, they showed back up at the Thanagarian planet, and the Gordanians had busted through like the defenses and basically had like defeated everyone and had taken over. And so Hro went on like essentially a suicide mission, taking as many ships as he can, and eventually crashing his ship into the Gordanian flagship to kill as many of them as he could, while letting Perrin Duel and his other lieutenants escape. But yeah, he's dead. The Thanagarians are not quite wiped out, but basically like scattered to the winds now that their home planet's been destroyed. It's a pretty devastating thing for Shayera to learn, especially considering that she caused that, even if it was the right choice in terms of saving Earth.
What was the name of Chris Hemsworth's character in Star Trek?
George Kirk.
George Kirk.
Father of James Tiberius
Kirk.
Kirk. Yes.
Okay. Yeah, because I was getting a lot of parallels between when
Yeah.
George makes the sacrifice play.
Exactly. Which, oh my God, the opening of that movie.
It's so good.
It's
I'm gonna
so
go
good.
rewatch that.
I am but a slight gust of wind's push away from going and rewatch that movie all the time. I fucking love it so much. And that opening is spectacular and so emotional. And Giacchino.
Tiberius? No.
That's ridiculous.
No, what is it? No, what's the? It's like we should name it after your dad.
Tiberius. Yeah.
Oh, is that?
Yeah. So
okay.
George's father is named Tiberius. So instead they name him after
her dad.
Her dad.
James.
Yes. It's James Tiberius Kirk.
Mm-hmm.
It's great. Fucking love that movie so much. Should we just go watch it now?
We should just go watch
skip
it
the
now.
podcast and go watch it.
So we're back.
We're back. Yeah, we've gone and watched it. It's amazing. But yeah, so it's all a trap basically to try and capture and hold Shayera accountable for her actions. We learn the fate of Ro, and we see that after Jean tried to do the mind meld with Krager, that he's all left kind of fucked up in his big robotic suit. And from there on, it's just kind of like a back and forth thing of like they're trying to escape the Thanagarians. Vixen gets captured. She seemingly betrays Shayera. She says, we want the same man, so I'm going to like turn her over to you, but first take me to your ship. Then she can use that to try and call for help. It's all just kind of this constant back and forth thing, but like...
Well, Shayera wants to keep making the sacrifice play. She wants to give herself up.
Yeah. Well,
because she thinks that's her her penance.
Yeah, she feels guilty. Like, understandably, she does feel guilty for her choice. Like, she did what she thought was the right call at the time, but it had a price.
Yeah.
And a price that other people had to pay, not just her.
Right. And now, understandably, Vigilante and Vixen don't trust her to make the play. Like, you're just going to go back to them. Like, you've had this option before, and you chose them.
Yeah.
You're 50-50 right now with choosing us and them. It's like, how do we know which way you're going to flip this time?
Right. And there's a lot of this question of like where loyalties lie in general, right? The whole episode's kind of about like, where do your loyalties lie? Like, can these Leaguers who were, left damaged either physically or mentally from the Thanagarian invasion be loyal to someone who they saw as a traitor at one point? Is John still loyal to Vixen? Does he still maintain loyalties to Shayera? Is she still loyal to the Thanagarians to some degree? And, when Shayera learns that Ro is dead, Vixen even asks, like, you still have feelings for him? She says, yeah, for a lot of people I've let down. I mean, she's laying it out there on the table, basically, that what's going on here. And most of the episode kind of plays out just a little bit generic. It's not super interesting. But I will say that the kind of button there on the end I do enjoy, which is they get off the ship and John runs up and he's like, oh my God, like, are you okay? And we're not even quite sure who he's referring to because he's literally standing between Vix and Shayera, and they just walk past him. And he's like, wait, what? Mari? Shayera? Where are you going? And, Vixen asks, like, should we do this now? No time like the present. So they're going to hash it out. And I do like that it cuts to them just kind of like laughing and making fun of John and like finding that commonality of like, yeah, he's kind of ridiculous. Like, he watches Old Yeller and folds his socks. And I do love Shayera's comment of like, oh, I have seen his underwear drawer.
That was a great just little bring in there.
I have seen it.
Oh, don't worry. I've seen it, babe.
I've seen it. I've seen his interdimensional closet he keeps inside the ring construct.
Oh, it's not the only thing he keeps in there. Have you seen his other interdimensional closet?
That's where the kinky stuff is held.
Oh, that's
like his cowboy outfits.
The kinky closet. Yeah, just his Western garb.
Yeah, but I mean, I like that they basically, as Vixen puts it, it's like, doesn't like if it's a book or if it's a movie, I'm not, even if it's not the best, I have to see it through to the end. And the final line there is basically like on guard sort of thing. Like, okay, like they kind of acknowledge that they're both going to keep pursuing him, and it like. There's a part of me that doesn't like that their whole dynamic is like built around them fighting over a guy. But I also do kind of like the way they establish a respect for each other and kind of see each other as equals. And I suppose, yes, competitors for John, but also like, I don't know, there's something about that beat I did really like. The dynamic they established there between the two of them.
Yeah, because it doesn't feel... Because that's not their only characteristic.
I suppose, yeah, that's true. And
it's a small part of their character.
Yeah. Because, yeah, I mean, we've also seen that they can work together as heroes, and they're both very competent and effective heroes, and there's other things at play there too. And I think maybe it's part of it's just that, like, for being part of a love triangle, I feel like those two characters are also given a little bit more to do than just that. Or even if one of their biggest story arcs is being part of a love triangle, they never feel like damsels in distress,
right?
Or like they're minimized, or they're only just that. Like, they are both total badasses, and you're like, honestly, like, John should be so lucky to be with either of them,
right?
So step it up, John. Maybe stop being such a shitty boyfriend all the time.
So instead of vigilante,
you've been waiting so patiently to get to this.
I'm trying to think of like anyone else they could have picked better. I don't know why I went to Atom Smasher first, but I feel like he'd be pretty good on Search and Rescue.
He's a big guy.
He can lift things.
He can get larger.
Yeah, because I also just want a moment. I want someone who will like get in between the relationship drama, where like they're standing in the background and they hear Shayera and Vixen kind of bantering to each other about John, and someone to be in like, well, like, have you ever thought about, and both of them just turning like, shut up, like kind of like a Flash moment.
Yeah. Okay, I'm looking at the list here. Who else could they jump in and be pretty effective here? Booster Golds.
Booster Gold would be pretty good.
Maybe he's got good powers. Maybe a little bit of an ego.
Yeah, I don't think John would let him go off planet.
Yeah, I mean, I think Dr. Fate is very varied in his powers, but he's probably doing other shit.
Yeah, he wouldn't go.
Metamorpho could be useful there, I suppose.
Yeah, you're on another planet. You know, he could learn a new element.
Yeah,
to turn into
Steel.
Steel would be great.
Steel would be good. Throw in there. Supergirl.
Always. Yep.
Be pretty solid. Maybe Zatanna.
I was thinking Zatanna.
Yeah,
because I would like the three. Like, I feel like she'd be a good intermediary between them.
Yeah,
as like someone who kind of not really, but sometimes maybe dated Batman.
Yeah, so as someone who like dated Bruce and came away from it being like, it wasn't worth it.
Right.
Yeah,
she'd have good insight on being like, hey, have you guys thought about just not dating him?
Yeah, have you thought about just letting it go?
Yeah.
And letting him be kind of a shit boyfriend. Also, can we just establish real quickly that Jon Stewart has a history of really questionable dating decisions. Like, he only dates like colleagues, because he dated Kat Matui, right?
Yep,
Kat Matui's name from the Green Lantern Corps. Then he dated Shayera, and now he's dating Vixen again.
Yes,
it's almost like he's setting himself up for failure.
He's very work incestual.
Yes, which is weird considering he was a Marine. Obviously, like, you know, he's straight, so he wasn't like dating other Marines there. But you would think that would kind of set up an idea of like conflict of interest. Might be a bit of an issue.
We have a lot of free time, Chris. You know, you should understand this. We both live and work in LA. There's not a lot of free time outside of work.
Yes.
You know, your playing field is much smaller when you're stuck in the same office building for 18 hours a day.
Yes, it must be very hard for a man who can travel across the galaxy at a moment's notice to meet new people.
Yes.
Yes. So hard for him. Yeah. But I mean, at the same time, we've seen how he dresses when he's not in a Green Lantern uniform. That doesn't help him very much.
Right, a cowboy.
A cowboy. Or like some random like record producer look.
Yep.
When he's at the fashion show. Not the best decisions on Jon Stewart's part there. Yeah, any other...
also, like, Superman dates Lois, his colleague.
Yeah, that's
Batman
true. And lies to her about it.
Yeah, Batman is with Wonder Woman and sometimes Zatanna.
That's
colleagues.
True. Yeah.
But they were, you know,
or Phantasm, who's a murderer.
Yep.
Or Catwoman, who's a villain. Okay, none of them have good dating decisions.
Right.
Okay, Bruce has the worst one of all, dating Barbara.
Yeah.
His best friend's daughter / his adopted son's ex-girlfriend.
Right.
Lots of level of fucked up there.
Well, because now I'm trying to think of, like, who were heroes that dated normal people, and we infamously have Kyle Rayner and the Fridge.
Yes.
And then...
Well, Flash and Iris West.
That's true.
Yeah. But this isn't Barry Allen. This is Wally West. So he's definitely not dating his cousin? They're related. They're related to some degree. I can't remember what.
From Identity Crisis, you have the Identity Crisis has the great one, because that goes through all of the normal wives.
Yeah.
Because they're all being targeted. And so Elongated Man's wife is the first one who I think is murdered.
Yeah, that's right. It's just there's no good.
There's no.
No. There's anyone. Oh, you know what? Hang on. I do have an answer to this from this universe.
Okay.
But it is, I would say, a spoiler for a later episode.
Oh, then hold off, please.
So we'll hold off on it, but we'll circle back to this when we get to that. But
Huntress and Question aren't technically colleagues anymore.
That's true.
Yep. She quit or was fired.
And, again, sometimes it works. Again, Green Arrow and Black Canary.
Yeah.
Post Cat and the Canary, best relationship in the Justice League.
They're doing great.
They're doing great. They're doing
very
solid.
happy for them.
So. Any other thoughts on Hunter's Moon, or shall we mosey on here?
Let's keep it moving.
All right. We actually have a return to Notes from Friends this week. I finally stopped being lazy and looked through some messages, and have a few lovely ones here. So we got a message a few weeks back from the lovely Chris Cons on Instagram, who wrote in to say, "Hi, Chris and Cameron. I'm a new listener of the podcast, working through the backlog, and already made it up to Static and Zeta. So sorry about Zeta.
Wow, yeah, you trudged through the worst of it.
Oh, it's the part you can always skip. I'm training for my first marathon, and potentially only marathon. It's really hard. He and I now follow each other on Instagram. He's continued to train, so well done, Chris.
Incredible.
He ran like 19 miles yesterday.
Fuck off.
It's ridiculous. Man. I know. It's like, my God, man. And
Someone who worked out for 5 hours yesterday.
Exactly.
That's a bad idea.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. And you've been keeping me company during the many, many hours of training. The DCU was the most important show for me when I was a kid. As an extremely depressed, closeted gay kid, superheroes was what helped me find my queerness, and I've been looking my whole life for other gay nerds to talk about these shows with. Sorry, Cameron, I know you're straight, but I still like hearing from you.
I appreciate it. I'm happy to be part of the conversation.
Love the pod, love you guys, and hit me up if you guys are ever in Brooklyn. Also, Cameron, if you're looking for a co-host for Jackie Chan Adventures Talk, I'm available.
All right. I'll hit you up.
But yeah, no, Chris is awesome. He and I have been chatting more on Instagram, and we both share a commonality that Chris O'Donnell as Robin was a sexual awakening moment for both of us, for a lot of gays our age. Actually. Sock fu.
Yeah.
Oh, sock fu. All the gratuitous butt shots. But yeah, no, Chris is super awesome. Lovely chatting with him a little bit. And we were talking about himbos. He said another himbo of note, Bolin from Legend of Korra, which he thought you would appreciate.
Oh, yeah.
Great himbo.
I want to get a good Bolin cosplay one day.
Yeah, you should do it. You should absolutely do it. But no, thanks, Chris, for writing in and, for continuing to chat. And, I'm glad we're able to help be at least, one of the two of us can be a fellow gay nerd to talk about this sort of stuff with. Yeah. And you're kind of like an honorary gay in a lot of ways, Cameron.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. And good luck on your marathon. That's a huge feat.
Yeah, no, yeah, he's kicking ass with it. So, and then we also got a few messages in from one of our favorites, the great Ashley Clark, who after our Suicide Squad episode sent in a little fan art that she made. I'm going to pass my phone across to you here so you can check it out.
Is it my grave?
It is, in fact, your grave.
The animator.
R.I.P. the animator with a little Mickey ears on top of it. And then she also sent one in for me, and it's a R.I.P. Chris's good puns angering the animator proved to be a grave mistake.
It's good.
Absolutely beautiful. Thank you, Ashley, for sending these in. I'll post this to our Instagram story this week to share. But thank you for writing in. I know we have other messages. I'll try to get better about getting to those every week. It's been a little bit busy of late, but if you want to find us, it's at Timm Talk Pod on Instagram. If we're being honest, it's probably the best way to do it.
Yes.
Or Gmail, which is timmtalkpod@gmail.com. But anywho, shall we wrap things up here with some bat plugs?
Let's do some plugs.
All right. What do you got, Cameron?
As of recording, it is October 3rd.
What is time?
Yeah.
What is time?
And so for this month, I've made a 31-day Halloween movie list for me to try to achieve.
So you have given up on Inktober entirely?
Fully. I'm not even going to try this year.
You made it one in last year?
I made it one in last year, 3 in the year before.
Okay. Well, I mean,
never made it a week.
That is, you know what? That at least that is like a constant progression of lack of effort.
Yeah.
So,
Uh,
okay, you got yourself a 31 movie list for the month of October. Presumably all Halloween related.
yes.
Okay.
Or, scary related.
Sure,
Not
sure,
scary, but, family friendly scary.
Of course, yes.
And so my goal is, watch one movie a day, but at least one new movie to add to my Halloween kind of catalog a week.
Okay.
I have not watched my new one yet, but I have recently rewatched Scooby-Doo and the Witch's Ghost.
I've never seen that
1999. It's a great voice cast. Tim Curry's in it.
Oh.
None of the normal Scooby gang are voiced by their normal counterparts, except for Frank Welker.
Was this?
No, not even that. It's a different Scooby voice, too.
Oh, interesting. Did this come out after Zombie Island?
Yes. It was Alien Invasion, Zombie Island.
Wait, I thought Zombie Island was the first one where it was like the real monsters.
Yes.
Yeah, so that was a big deal about it. It's like this time the monsters are real.
Right, but Alien Invasion I think was the first of the 90s, and like straight to video.
Okay, but they weren't
movies.
actual aliens.
Right, they weren't.
Oh, okay, got it.
Yeah.
Got it.
But yeah, this is also the introduction to the Hex Girls, which is why I watched it.
Oh, of course.
I love the Hex Girls.
Of course you do.
Yes, I watched that, and then yesterday I watched Halloween Town 1 and 2, my favorites.
I mean, I was about to say, how did you find time to watch 2 movies yesterday? But then I remember that you probably did not move after you finished your 5-hour workout.
Oh, I did not. But some of the ones I want to check out for this month, for my new list, I've never watched Practical Magic.
Oh, okay.
I want to add that. The Evil Dead 2, because I've heard it's very funny.
Mm-hmm.
Freaky, which is the movie that came out 2 years
I
ago.
really want to watch that.
Yeah. With, Vince Vaughn and not Chloe.
Catherine Newton.
Sure.
Let me check this up. I'm going to double check this. I'm gonna be
It's Freaky Friday with the serial killer.
I'm very happy with myself if I'm right. I've heard good things. I've heard really good things about it.
Yeah. But if anyone needs a Halloween movie to watch, I have 31 plucked out already.
Now, so are you including any like straight up horror films in there?
Bride of Frankenstein. Did you get it right?
Catherine Newton.
Congratulations.
God, I'm good.
Last year I watched Dracula and Frankenstein for the first time.
Dracula.
Yep. And so this year I want to do Bride of Frankenstein, and then maybe one other Universal monster movie I haven't pulled out yet.
Okay.
Um,
Have you ever? I think you and I had this conversation off air when we're pretending to be friends.
mm-hmm.
Off air.
Yeah, when you're threatening my life.
Exactly.
Off air, instead of on air.
Always. You have not seen Halloween, right?
I have not.
Look, it is a scary movie. I would highly recommend including the original John Carpenter's Halloween as well as the reboot from a few years ago.
Yeah,
both named Halloween in the classic form of like a pseudo long delayed sequel to a horror film that has the same name as the horror film.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, I do want to watch that. I do want to watch Nightmare on Elm Street. I was supposed to watch it last night.
Okay.
But could not move.
Yeah, that's fair. I've never seen the original. I've seen 2, which is extraordinarily gay. That was like maybe that was in fact the last episode we did of Gay It Forward. And I've seen the 3rd one, which is kind of like weird. But yeah, I've never seen the first one. And have you ever seen the original Friday the 13th?
I've not.
Okay, maybe we should watch some of these. Maybe we'll do some horror themed BFCs and catch up on some of these horror films.
Good. Yeah, I'd prefer to do those with a group.
Yeah, I think it's better. Yeah. But the thing is, like, because you and I are neither of us are big horror genre people in general. But I'm trying to make exceptions for movies that are actually like really, really good. Like movies that I feel like elevate themselves out of their own genre. So I did watch recently The Exorcist.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen now most of the Conjuring films, the first 2 of which are really excellent. The first 2 Paranormal Activities are also really, really good.
That was the game changer.
Yeah.
That movie was made for what, $75,000?
Something like that. It's absolutely crazy.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's some stuff in the second one that makes me think it might actually be better than the first one even. What else is really good out there? I don't know if it counts as horror, but have you ever seen Alien?
I've not seen Alien.
Alien is essentially a horror film, and then Aliens is an action movie, but Aliens still holds up really, really well, and it's really fucking creepy. Yeah, I got a list. We'll try and hit some of these together, because there's some good stuff out there.
I also, since we now have all 3 streaming platforms for the main 3 animation channels of my childhood,
right?
I have made a list of all of the Halloween specials I want to watch from, between Disney Plus, Paramount Plus, and HBO Max.
Mm-hmm.
I'm very excited for all of them.
Yes.
I've never seen the Fresh Prince Halloween episodes. There's 2 of them.
Really?
Apparently they're really cute. Yeah,
Oh,
so those,
okay.
those are on my list. And a handful of others that you don't care about.
Absolutely not.
Yep.
Don't give a shit. Wait, have we recorded since we watched Blockers?
We've not.
Okay, that's gonna be one of my plugs this week.
Oh, good.
It's great.
It's so good.
I was surprised by how much I enjoyed it.
It's so much better than it should be.
Yeah, no, it honestly, it genuinely really is. Like, it is really, really funny, and it's got a lot of heart. John Cena's just great. He's just so charismatic, and again, he's so good at like subverting his own machismo all the time.
Yes, being the pacifist.
Yeah, and like every time the movie starts to dip into like really cringy, tropey, like borderline misogynistic, borderline homophobic territory, it like points out that it's going that direction. Like a character points out what's happening, like kind of hang a lantern on it and recover it in a way that's actually pretty clever and funny. I was genuinely surprised by how much I liked that movie.
Yeah. The super quick rundown. Mm-hmm. It is the flipped trope of the like high school prom story.
Yeah, it's basically like the flip on American Pie, where instead of like a bunch of guys decided they're gonna all lose their virginity, it's a bunch of girls.
Yes, they're all gonna lose on prom night, and then the parents find out about it, and the movie is them doing their best to stop their daughters from having sex.
Yes, it's really funny.
It's so funny.
Just great cast, kind of great like supporting cameos all the way throughout too. Yeah, it actually has like something really like sweet to say.
Yeah,
and meaningful and like valuable to say to it. It actually, I think, adds something to the conversation around those kind of teen movies. So it's not quite as sophisticated as say Booksmart, but very little is.
Right.
So it's more of like you're gonna hate me for saying this, your classic studio comedy version of that story, rather than like the more kind of like sophisticated teen dramedy that is Booksmart.
Mm-hmm.
But it's good though. It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everyone go check it out.
You really should. And then my other plug is I started watching Succession this last week.
How exciting.
It's good. It is really good. I mean, it is like Shakespeare with just despicable rich white people.
Yeah.
But it is really compelling, I have to say, and the performances are outstanding. I mean, Brian Cox is one of my all-time favorite actors. I think he's incredible, and he's just so good in this, as is everybody. It's also a great showcase for Kieran Culkin, who has just this very particular kind of like Weasley snark.
Yes, Wallace, for people who need a reference point.
Exactly.
Wallace from Scott Pilgrim.
Yes, or the cousin from Home Alone 1 and 2.
Yes.
Yes.
I did not even realize that was
Fuller, who always wets the bed.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. Yeah. He had a very very substantial glow up, and he I mean everyone's really great in it, but it's really good. It's about halfway through the first season now. I'm doing my best to try and catch up before the season premiere, which is the 17th of October. I want to say it's coming up here pretty soon.
Okay.
But it's good. It's all up on HBO Max, obviously. But
yeah, it's a fantasy family, loosely based off of the Redstones and the Murdochs.
Yeah,
mm-hmm.
Exactly. So it's don't go in really expecting to like anybody.
Yes, that is what I've heard.
Yeah, but it's pretty compelling stuff.
Mm-hmm. Good. I'll check it out eventually.
Yeah.
It's, as I'm sure I've shared the story before, one of the characters is loosely based off my mom.
Exactly.
She used to work for Sumner Redstone.
Do you know which character? I'm assuming it's Jerry who runs the business.
I think so. Does like everyone hate her?
No.
Oh. Because the way my mom said it, it's the character that everyone hates. But that didn't explain anything to me.
Okay. I mean, everyone's kind of hateable. She's like the one character I kind of like. Maybe because I keep assuming it's based off your mom, who I adore. So
I'll take it.
Yeah, I was like, oh, like, no, I love Jerry. But, no, I mean, if that is who it is, like, no, like, she's kind of like the one, like, competent, reasonable person amongst
then that can't be her.
The whole brood.
She said they did not paint her in a good light.
Oh, okay. Then maybe it's someone else then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, 'cause I mean, maybe she doesn't stay that way for the rest of the series, because halfway through season 1, I'm like, I like her. She's good. She's maybe the only one in this thing who actually has the right ideas going forward.
Yeah.
But no, it's a good show. It's very, very good. Yeah, it's like not like really heavy and intense, but it's also not light and fluffy at the same time. So, but yeah, it's pretty solid. But I think that does it for us this week.
We did it.
With surprising amount of energy considering how tired we both are.
Yeah.
Actually. But yeah, that wraps it up for this week. We will be back next week with Question, Authority, and Flashpoint. So we're getting into like the real thrust of the Cadmus arc here. We're building towards the finale and all this. It's really going to get crazy here. But yeah, so that's gonna be up next week. And until then, you can find us at Timm Talk Pod on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and Gmail. You can find me at Lordifer on Instagram. I will actually be posting some photos this week from my vacation to Maui.
That's so exciting.
Yes, I will actually be posting shit.
How's he doing? Do you see Moana too?
I did not see Moana, but Maui was just as charming as ever. And as I was leaving, he just said, "You're welcome."
Good.
So it was great.
Good. If you want to see my art, you can find that at Cameron.Dexter. If you want to see my face, you can find that at CamDexter_adventures.
Boom, boom, boom.
Yes.
All right. Well, thanks everyone for listening. Please continue to write in. And until next time, we'll see you then.
See you then.
Bye.
I'm going to Disneyland.
Of course you're going to. I mean, what a fucking shock. Cameron's on his way to Disneyland. Oh. Okay, I think I got it this time. Ready?
You got it?
Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
Ba 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 ba.
Ba 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 na 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 na.
Ba 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 ba.
Ba 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 na na na.
Bow.
Beautiful. I missed that.
Shazam!